Today we're going to work again with simple shapes. We're going to start off working with our contour lines and then building and layering and shadowing and shading to get that 3D effect that we're going for, okay? Now, this is ultimately what you should end up with, okay? Something similar where you've got the different values, you've got your light, your medium, and your dark tones, you got your highlights, and then you've got your different shapes that you're going to be putting together to create the full lip. All right, so let's get started. All right, the tools that you're going to need is that you're going to need a pencil, a tortillon or a blender of some kind, or you can use your finger, that works too, and an eraser. It can be a kneaded eraser or it could be a pink eraser. It could just be an eraser on the back of your pencil. That's okay too. All right, so we are gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna take my pencil. Now, this is just kind of, again, an idea. There's many ways that you can do this, but if this idea works for you, great. So I'm going to start off with, and I'm going to draw a little darker. What I want you to do is I want you to draw lighter because we're going to be doing a lot of erasing. So I want you to go ahead and think of this like a sketch, okay? And I'm going to do it a little darker so you can see a little better on the paper, all right? So I'm going to take and I'm going to draw 2 circles, but I'm going to start off with one that's just a little bit off center of my paper. Okay, and I do several circles around just to kind of get a basic shape because sometimes one circle is a little off or lopsided and you don't want that. So you're going to go ahead and draw a couple circles and then you'll find that right contour or that right outline that you're going to use. The next thing you're going to do is do the same thing but do a circle side by side. Okay, so about the same size. Now, the next thing you're going to do, so right now it looks like 2 eyes. The next thing that you're going to do is take and draw a unibrow from about the middle of the circle, the top middle of the circle to the other top middle of the circle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my unibrow, kind of dip it down a little bit, give it a little bit of a curve. Okay. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to eyeball this, pun intended, but I'm going to eyeball this and I'm going to kind of think of where that line would be in the middle of those circles. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just going to very lightly draw a line through the center of that circle and make my line about the same width that I want my lips. So after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the edge of the unibrow on one side, and I'm going to connect the edge of the unibrow to the corner of my line. Okay? And the next thing you're going to do is on the other side, take the edge of the unibrow and go and draw a line angled down to the corner of that middle line. So you should end up getting something like this. That looks like when we were little kids, like we did in elementary school, or if you're a little kid, and sometimes we still do this, is that we draw these little M shapes to represent birds. Well, that's what this reminds me of here, okay? So the next thing that we're gonna do after we do our little flattened M shape, and it's all put into proportion, or at least in a good proportion, using our circles. So this is kind of our base, okay? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take and draw from one end of the mouth to the other end of the mouth, but I'm going to go down below my circles and then up to the other side. So what that's going to do is that's going to give me my lip shape. So I'm going to bring this down to the center of the circle on the bottom, and then I'm going to go straight across, because I can always adjust this as I need to. I'm going to go straight across and then come back up to the other side. Okay. There we go. Remember, I'm doing this a little darker, so that way you can see it a little better. I want you to draw light, okay, because we are going to add the darks later. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my eraser. Actually, I'm going to use the back of my pencil because I think this is a better eraser because I'm going to be digging hard in there. So if you have one of those pink erasers or any of those little extra erasers, those are perfect, just the side ones or even the tip ones, okay? So I'm going to take and I'm going to erase everything inside of this. So everything inside my lips, my little base, my bones are going to go away. Okay. So now I should have a clean lip on the inside. There. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to, now I'm going to add something in the side, in the middle again. Now, I'm going to take and make a little smile just right here in the center, because you can still kind of see where your center line was. Right above that, I'm going to go ahead and draw a little smile that goes about in the middle, so kind of mimics the dip right here on the top of the lip, okay? And that's actually probably a little too big, so I'm going to erase that just a bit. Okay, so now it looks like a little smile within a smile. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take the edge of your smile and draw a line to the corner of your mouth. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Draw a line to the corner of your mouth. So now we've got that basic shape here in the lip. Now we can start building. What's going to give you your 3D look is your layering your colors and your values. I'm going to say values, okay? And then you're going to layer, and then you're going to add shadow and shading and pick up highlights. So we're going to work on that, okay? So what I want you to do first of all, in order to start the shadow and shading, is you're going to take, we're going to pretend that the light is coming in from this direction, okay? So it's kind of maybe even up a little bit, but it's going to be coming in from here. So if that's the case and our lips are rounded on our face, then you're going to have the darks or the shadows on the sides of the lip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to darken the corner, just make a little triangle of dark on the side of the lip. And it can be a little elongated triangle. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? And then the same thing on the other side. I'm going to take and draw a little elongated triangle and then come down. And I'm going to go ahead and color that in. So now I've got my darks on the corner there of my lips. I'm going to do a little bit different. I didn't really connect them because I want it to be a little bit different on the top of the lip because it's a separate thing. So I'm going to take and I'm going to draw another little triangle, but up on top. And this can be even a little longer over here and then up onto the triangle there. So I'm going to go ahead and draw and color that little triangle on the top part of the lip. And the same thing on the other side. And try to keep your pencil going in the direction that you want your contours to go, okay? All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some parentheses. Yes, I said parentheses, okay? But what I'm going to do in order to get our contour lines, I'm going to start with the bottom lip. So I'm going to take our contour lines and I'm going to make a parentheses basically right here, okay? And what that's doing is as I do more of these across to the corner of the mouth is that's giving us a look of roundedness to the lips. So we're going to go ahead and add a few and then just kind of lightly add some of those lines, several. They can overlap, they can crisscross a little bit, just as long as you get some lines all the way across to the corner of the mouth. Now, I know you're sitting there thinking, Ms. Main, I don't know about this. Well, you're right. At first, that is how it feels and that's how it looks. But Trust me, okay? It's gonna work out. So the next thing you're gonna do is close those parentheses. So now I'm gonna take and I'm gonna close those parentheses on the other side. So we're not coloring it in, we're just adding parentheses all the way across to the corner. Okay? All right. So I'm going to go ahead. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do the top also. Same process. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do our parentheses. Start on this side. And again, follow the angle of the lip, okay? And it looks really sloppy, I know, but don't worry. We're going to be smudging it and smearing it, all that good stuff, and it's going to work out. Okay, we're going to do the other side. We're going to close off those parentheses. I'm going to put a little line down here in the center. Close off those parentheses. All right, now here's what this looks like. And I know, again, it looks very strange. However, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your tortillon or blender or Q-tip or finger or whatever it is, and you're going to work these parentheses and these corners. But we're going to start off with the corners. So with the corners, I'm going to go ahead and smudge and smear so I don't have such a harsh line up to my corner. And you can see I'm expanding my shading and shadowing, and that's okay. That's what I want to do. So the next thing, now we got the side of that lip. You can see the difference here, okay, of the harsh look and then the softer look. And when we're working with skin, we want that softer look. So we're going to go with the corner of the mouth again on this side and start shadowing and soften up that line. And again, follow the direction that you were doing your drawing with the particular shapes you're working with. Try not to fight against it. That kind of makes it a little battle. We don't want that. Okay? I'm going to soften this line a little bit and make it not so harsh. All right? Now, already you can tell the difference between the bottom and the top lip, and it's already starting to look better. Okay? So trust me, again, it's going to work. We're going to take the top lip and do the same thing with that corner. Again, we don't want it to really match up with the bottom of the lip because the bottom lip has its own identity, okay? We want it to have its own look. Now on the other side, we're going to continue with that. Okay. All right, next thing is we're going to take and we're going to do parentheses with our tortillon or our blender, okay? We're going to blend. I'm going to use what I call my dirty tortillon because it's already got graphite on it. So it's going to automatically add some shadow, and that's good. We want that, okay? And if you feel like those lines are a little too harsh, smudge them a little harder, okay? If you want it to have a little more of a line, lift up, just like you would do a pencil. And again, follow those contour lines, okay? Make sure that you're not fighting against those lines that are there. Now you're going to do the other side, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and close up those parentheses on this side, okay? And if you notice, when I know I said, follow your contours, I am still, even though I'm kind of going across, it's a little quicker to follow the contours going across like this and blend, and then follow this way. So I'm kind of angling my tortillon as I'm going across. So I'm still following my contours, even though I'm not doing this thing all the way, okay? Same thing with the top. We're gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna follow along the top part, follow those angles on the contour lines, then come back down to the bottom of the lip and follow the angle of the contour lines there too. Okay, now we're gonna do the other side. Oops, let's get those harsh lines gone. Okay, other side now. We're going to do the other side and shadow and blend. Okay. All right. So right now you can tell it's already starting to come together. Okay. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take, and I'm going to actually come back in and darken this line on the bottom a little bit on each corner. Okay. I'm going to leave a little bit down here because we're going to come back to that. Same thing, a little bit here on the edge. Then it's going to pick up on your pencil, and then it's going to get a little bit lighter as you get closer to the top. Same thing on this side. Now, one thing I will tell you, I'm not quite happy with the pointy look up here on the lip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust, okay? And guess what? I know some people have told me, art teachers say you can't use erasers. Then why have erasers? Of course you can use erasers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to smooth, actually I'm going to color this. I'm going to draw this first. And I'm going to smooth this out, kind of bring it in a little bit, even maybe not make it so wide, okay? So I'm going to round it out a little bit. And then I'm going to make a little dip here on the lip and then round this part out also. That right there, you can tell, already makes a huge difference. Okay, I'm going to pick up some of that graphite, even though I know I just drew over that, but now that shows me where I want my line, okay? Same thing here, I want my line. Now, I can understand some art teachers saying they don't want you to use your erasers just because sometimes we get stuck, especially being the artists. We get stuck thinking, I'm going to go ahead and shadow that in, thinking that everything's got to be perfect. No, it doesn't. Just do your best and then work what you need to work. Sometimes it helps to just back off, get away, step back, put your hands up and say, I'm going to come back to it. And when you come back to it, let's say you go have lunch or the next morning you wake up and you come back to it and you see what you've got. You're like, okay, I know what I need to fix. Or oh, nothing needs to be fixed. I don't know what I was worried about. So there's, sometimes it's good to just leave it alone for a little bit and then come back to it, okay? The next thing is you can already see the dimension happening and you can tell that we've already started with some of the layering. And so that's what we're going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and take my pencil. These are all number 2 HB pencils, okay? So there's no special tools to this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to darken the center because where the lips meet is an actual it's a line. So, and I'm going to curve that too a little bit more instead of making it so angled and harsh. I'm going to make it softer and I'm going to darken that. So I'm going to press a little harder on my pencil and then I'm going to come around all the way to the other corner of the lip, okay? There we go. Now, I'm also going to take my tortillon again, and I'm going to go ahead and blend. Well, I'm not even going to blend. I'm not going to really go back and forth, but I'm going to soften that. So I'm just very lightly going to go over the center part of that lip. And I'm going to go ahead and soften it some. And it's okay if some of the shadow, you can see right here, some of the shadows making this a little darker towards the inside of the lip. That's okay. Because guess what? That gives us more depth and actually shows that our lips are kind of curling in to the lip line. Okay, so that we want. That's an added bonus of just doing some of this and using the tortillon like this. Okay. There we go. All right, so that's looking fairly decent. Still not quite there, but I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the outside edge of my lip. Okay. Soften those lines again. Bring this up to the other side, kind of soften that contour. And again, it's okay if it comes out a little bit because sometimes that gives you an added bonus of an extra shadow. Or if you don't like it, use your eraser. Pick it up, take it off. That's the beauty of art. That's one thing in our life that we have complete and full control over, is what we have on our paper. So that is, as an artist, this is your world. This is the place to be, okay? And you want it how you want it, not somebody else. Okay, so the next thing is you're going to take, or I'm going to take, and I'm going to do, again, a little bit more dark. So here comes more layering, okay, in the corner there, especially on the bottom. Now, typically, I'm going to take my tortillon and smooth it some. Typically, the top lip is going to be a little darker because we've got, like, if the light's shining like this, I mean, you are going to have some highlights, but you're going to have more highlights, especially on the middle of the bottom lip, because it kind of curls over and it juts out a little bit. So it's going to have a little bit more of a shadow. So really your top lip is going to have a little bit more darks in it. And then we'll work on that here in just a second. The next thing you're going to do on the bottom lip though, is I'm going to take, and following these contours, I'm going to start from the middle and I'm going to angle some short little lines just all the way across. And you notice we already have kind of a basic shadow right here by the lip line. I'm going to darken a little bit of these lines just so that, because we got lip wrinkles, okay? Everybody does. And so this kind of gives it that texture onto your lip. And so I'm going to follow this all the way over to the corner, and I'm going to do the same thing over to this side. When you're in the middle, kind of bring it straight down and then start angling it off like your other contour lines. And then we're going to do the same thing on the top of the lip here in just a second. There we go. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing on the top of the lip. Start off straight up and then start angling your lines. And again, just short little lines. They don't even have to be exactly alike. They do not have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect, so that's a good thing. There was only one person perfect, and I don't want to be compared to him. All right, so we're going to angle this off. All right. Okay. I don't want to be compared because I could never match up. But anyway, okay, so moving on, we're going to go ahead and get our tortillon, and we're going to start blending those lines again together, okay? We're going to soften those lines, and you can see that's already starting to give it this rounded look along the lip line. Same thing on the other side. Soften those lines up. And if you need them like not so harsh lines, and you want to blend them quite a bit more, push harder on your tortillon. If you see that the lines are still a little too like darkened or more darkened than what you want, come back over them. Play around with it, okay? So much of this is trial and error. And again, it's just like a sport. And I'm going to do the top lip the same way. If you have to practice art, there are very few people that are what I call born with it. A born with it is somebody who can just pick up a pencil and go. And some athletes are like that too with sports. I am not like that, whether it's art, sports, whatever, okay? With me, I've had to learn everything I've done, and that's okay. But I've had to learn techniques that work in order to be successful with some of this. And again, it's just like a sport. You don't pick up a basketball and start making layups and being like all perfect and Michael Jordan like, but you have to practice, and the more you practice, the better you get. Okay, and also learning different techniques helps, because that helps give you shortcuts, and it helps you to learn different ways of doing things, because this is not the only way to draw, a realistic lip. This is my way. And so if you have a better way, use it. All right, so this being the case, you can see this is already starting to come together, coming out good. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the very bottom of the lip. I'm not going to go all the way into the center because I want some highlights there. I'm going to take this in the center, and I'm going to go and follow my contours again. Same thing that I was doing on the top by the lip line. Do your little lines along the bottom of the lip, following the angle of those contours over to the corner, and then same thing on this side. Okay. Get my tortillon, my handy dandy tortillon, and I bring this and start blending. Go to the other side, and again, follow the angle of your contours even when you're blending. That way it gives it that 3D look, okay? That's what we're going for. At least somewhat of a realistic look is what we're hoping for. We'll put it that way. All right, so the next thing is, see, now you've already got some natural highlights put in there. You've already got some of this look of light. Now we're gonna make that even more of a contrast, okay? So I'm gonna take and I'm going to actually come in to my bottom lip, and I'm gonna add some highlight right here on the ridge where that would curl out the most, and I'm gonna start picking up some of my graphite there. That way I can get more of a contrast of some of that light being in there and some of the darks, and then you can just it really starts to pop then. Okay, there. All right, and like I said, the top lip, I'm not gonna do much to it. I'm actually kind of happy with that. I'm just gonna pick up a little bit on this side, make it a little bit more of a light on this side, so it kind of matches up with this side, because this is looking, actually this turned out for once for me. Okay, and then just kind of keep working it until you are happy with it. It's like I said, you are the artist, so you want to be happy with what you are doing here, okay? The next thing that you're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and add some more shadow here on the bottom of the lip, because again, if we've got that light coming straight down, we're gonna take and we're gonna darken under the lip here, because you've got this ridge here on your lips, and if you look at a selfie or you look at yourself in the mirror or look at somebody else and you have light that's kind of shining almost straight on, you're going to have this dark line, but you're also going to have a little bit of a highlight up here on the top, so right around here. So I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to pick up some of that light right here. Some of that graphite, sorry. There we go. And if you find out you picked up too much, come back in, use your tortillon, use your pencil, whatever. Come back in and fix it. Okay, no big deal. Make a mistake, so what? Come back in and fix it. See something you need to be fixed? Like I didn't have enough, I think, blending here, so guess what? I'm gonna fix it. I want to be happy with it. Okay. Let's see right here too. There. Okay. Not too shabby for me. All right, so the next thing that I'm gonna do is just kind of a little trick that if you have a tortillon or a blender, and it's still kind of clean, or there's not enough graphite on the tip, what you want to do is you can take your pencil and make yourself a little pool, kind of scribble out some graphite onto a piece of paper. And you see I use just a Post-it here. And then I take my tortillon and I load up the edge of my tortillon with some graphite. And you'll see that gives me more stuff that I can shadow with. So because the reason why I did that is now I've already got kind of a natural shadow right here underneath. I don't need to do anything more with that right now. But what I want to do here is there's this little dimple right in between your lip. So we're going to kind of add some shadow to make it look like that, okay? The way I do it is that I take and find the middle part of the bump on the top of the lip, and I do just a straight line up, not very far, and I make another line on the other side about the same height. Okay, then I'm going to come in. Now this is between the top of the lip and the nose, okay? And this is going to be, this is that right in between space. So there's not a whole lot of space in between there. But what I want to do is I want to take and add a curve along, kind of follows along with the dip of the lip here on top. So you got this little dip right here on the lip. So I'm going to take and I'm going to shadow and curve that in a little bit. Looks like that's kind of dark, but that's all right. We'll come back and fix it. And shadow some more here. Okay. There we go. I'm going to actually curve this in a little bit more and soften it. Again, the skin is soft. It's not, I mean, yeah, you have some wrinkles and things, but think soft when you're working with skin. Think rolls and curves and dips and, okay. Now this I think is way too dark, so I am definitely going to pick up some graphite on here. Same thing on this side. I kind of loaded up my tortillon just a tad too much. There we go. Okay, that's a little bit better. So now I'm going to take and actually angle out, like do some angles kind of going in towards the center of this dimple. So again, here I am layering, okay? I'm layering all of these values, giving it some direction, okay? Same thing on this side. I'm going to go ahead and angle some shadows into the center of this. And you find out that's too harsh, just soften those lines a bit, okay? Still think that's a little dark. So I'm going to dab at this, just pick up some graphite. I don't want to pick up a lot. I don't want to smudge it and take all of it off. I just want to dab at it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here, so it doesn't look like a crazy nose here, I'm going to angle some shadow off on this side. I just want some light shadow off because here we have this little, that little dimple, and then on the side, this kind of goes towards the cheek. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to softly angle some shadow towards the cheek. Same thing on this side. I am going to add some graphite here. Okay. There we go. And so now we've got a look of pretty close, okay? At least for me, this is not bad. So this, we have the look of a fairly realistic lip along with the shadow and shading. We used some light and dark values. We used basic shapes, and that's the whole key to a lot of these things, especially like faces and things, is that if really animals, whatever, they always look for the basic shapes, and then you can build on from there. You start with the bones and you add the meat and the muscle, and then you add the skin and you add that. So, and that's just kind of a figurative way of looking at it. You start with your circles, you start with your squares, then you add your values and your shadows and your shading, then you add your highlights, okay? So that's kind of where it builds. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it works out good for you, and let me know if you were successful with this. Thanks for watching.